the UK and from Spain, this is the Maythorn Monthly. So this is New Brighton on the Wirral. The Wirral Peninsula is a piece of land that sits between the River Mersey and the River Dee. To the left from New Brighton you can see out to sea, the Irish Sea, and to the right, behind me in the shots that you've just seen, is Liverpool on the other side of the Mersey. In the mid-90s I became an accidental landlord and I saw the attraction of this letting property lark. So in the early noughties I started attending property shows and workshops and doing more of the same. However, it was this attendance at national property expos that led to me investing abroad. As much as I tried to get involved with the UK property investment, and places like Excel were full of salesmen offering free viewing trips to countries in the emerging European markets. In 2004 my arm was twisted at the Excel Centre in London by McAntony Realty, who took us on a viewing trip to Spain and they showed us various properties, but we ended up here in Marina d'Or. I came out to Spain and looked at this piece of empty land, and that piece of land is the piece that this apartment was built on eventually. The sale completed in 2006. I was invested in Marina d'Or and I'm still here. Lots of people didn't survive. A little later, my friend Colin, who I had known since junior school, started a company in partnership with a Bulgarian native and started selling old Bulgarian houses to the Brits. These houses were mainly in villages and they were very cheap. So even after adding Colin's costs, you're only talking about £5,000. That's the sort of money you buy a second-hand car for. Only the second-hand car would now be on the scrap heap the house is probably still there. It is this aspect of Bulgarian life that my property videos have covered, and I try to show what you can still get for a few grand. Ooh. And while I'm talking, the house martins are swooping over my head because on this balcony there is a nest with some little babies in it. I'll come back to that later. What do we need to do a video?
A camera.
A camera! What just popped out of the camera?
The camera thingy, the lens.
That's the lens. This is the camera body, and that's the lens.
Can you change the lens?
You can change the lens for... Have you seen those great long lenses?
Yeah.
Telephoto, they're called. It is like a camera stand. It's actually called a tripod because it's got 3 legs. Yeah, that's right. So it's got it can swivel it and tilt it and pivot. Pivot, that's the word. The main renovation project this year is in Tryfyn, a little village in Flintshire, North Wales. Let's have a look at what we've done so far. Our last tenant was using the garden as a scrapyard and storing his parts in an old caravan that he brought on site, and he was wrecking the house and particularly the flat roof that he tried to repair. Welsh Water repaired the manhole cover and the grandchildren smashed up the kitchen for me. This was only after we'd won the war of the padlocks, where squatters had moved in, stripped out the house, and we kept changing padlocks, they kept changing them back. Our first job was to bring in a roofer to remove all the corrugated iron and completely rebuild the flat roof right down to the timber structure. We slowly clear away the mess inside and out, which includes a dog, a fierce dog that was kept in the house 24 hours a day to try and put us off getting back into our own property. When we first started clearing away the living room of the property, there were still traces of where the dog had been sleeping and where it had been doing other things. This shot, looking up the stairs, looks straight out at the heavens as the roof is off at this point. This is just before the new flat roof was put on. During the months the flat roof was leaking, there was a lot of water damage, the ceiling came down in the kitchen, and plaster started coming off in other parts of the property. Outside we see the roofers rebuilding the timber structure and putting on a new black rubber roof. There's new gutters and soffits, and we're told that the roof has a lifetime warranty. We're not sure whose lifetime that is. So we have shots of the roof and the soffits and gutters from the ground, as well as shots that were taken actually from the roof, looking across open fields. The property is situated by a farm shop and is out in the middle of nowhere on the road between Chester and Corwin. In fitting a flat roof, it is necessary to take off the first few rows of slates, and unfortunately this revealed that the slate roof was in poor condition, so this was to be our next job. Well, I've come in outside out of the wind now, and also to avoid the house martins swooping past my head. We share this balcony with them. Last year they built a nest here, and I wasn't here very much, so didn't see what they got up to. But this time they got babies in the nest, and have had since we arrived. And we've come to an arrangement where they can have the balcony in the morning. I usually would have my breakfast out there, but I let them do their feeding at that time, and I also let them have it in the evening, and then we just sit out there in the afternoon in the afternoon sun. The house martins are fascinating to watch. They're very fast as they swoop through the sky, but they are actually collecting insects in flight, so it's quite a unique thing, and you can't really see them do it, obviously, because insects are small creatures, but they've obviously got very keen eyes, and they collect the insects, they bring them back to the nest and feed the babies. The whole thing is very fast, so I've had the benefit this time of trying to video them and then slowing it down, and then you can see them coming to the nest in slow motion as well. They're probably the fastest birds in the air, but slow motion shows you what they're doing every day here, and as I say, we've come to an arrangement with them. We share our balcony. First of all, you may not understand the word, but the composition of your shot. Can you see the blossom? Okay. Am I nice and clear in the right place? Mm-hmm. Okay. The things I don't want you to pick up with your camera are the fact that I've still got my slippers on. Nobody needs to know that. No. And the fact that we haven't weeded the garden. So make sure you don't get too low down with your angle.
That's perfect.
So that's perfect, okay. Now you're filming using your tripod, but there's nothing to stand it on, so you're just holding it, so that's okay. That should be a fairly steady shot, but just make sure you try and keep it steady. And I'm going to talk about gadgets for filming. This is my special tripod. It's called a monkey pod, and you've got a tripod you can't stand anywhere. The idea of a monkey pod is that...
Sorry, Jess is laughing.
Sorry, one of our crew over there. Off. Who's supposed to be holding a steady shot herself is now laughing all over the place. So this is a monkey pod. And the trouble is I need a tree.
Do you want me to do it?
My arm's a tree, you're filming.
Oh yeah.
My arm's a tree, so if all you can find is a tree or concrete post or something, that is what you'd have to use. Can't actually do it very well onto my own arm, but the idea of a monkey pod is that it gets a grip. You can even put these on the handlebars of a bike and go cycling with it. So recommend one of these. I think this is about a tenner, but you can get them a lot cheaper, and it does what a tripod does, but you can use it anywhere. So when you want to make your own films and there's nobody helping you, like I've got two of you helping me today, then I can go off with one of these. And actually there's a for sale sign on the house next door. If I wanted to go and film over there, I could just clip this to the post of the for sale sign. So that's a useful thing to have. I've tried to make our Spanish apartment more of a home from home in recent years, and my interest in technology, coupled with the benefits of the internet, have made it possible to carry on as though I was at home. The same TV channels and Netflix, the same data and programs on my Spanish laptop as I have at home, the same phone lines and numbers as I use in the UK because of internet telephony, and my clients have no idea that I'm operating from abroad because the technology makes the whole thing transparent. You phone my Chester number and I'm in Spain or Bulgaria, you'll still get through to me. You must also bear in mind that everything I do is with pocket money gadgets. I do what I do without spending any serious money. In fact, I cringe when I see what other people think that they have to spend to get these kind of results. So I'll be showing you over the months some of the things that I use here and how you can use them too. And I'll also show you how I make these videos on a budget and how I manage to do it without a team of backup people that a TV program would have. Now, I started doing these Marina Door video diary in somewhere around 2011, I believe, but by 2012 I had this is a full HD camcorder, and it was the first camcorder I had that used memory cards instead of tapes, so the memory card's hidden in there. And the card is locked. I must have put a lock card in it. Oops. The thing about a video camera as against to an ordinary SLR or something is this, it's the screen. So not only can you swivel it so you can hold the camera down on your waist and turn the screen up, but you can film yourself, which I'm pointing it at me now, and turn the screen round and see what you're filming, because if you're doing filming of yourself and you cut your head off, it's not much good. So if I just hang on, get my head in, no, I don't suppose you can see that because it's out of shot, but that's the good thing about a proper video camera. People film on their phones, that there's a lot of compromises involved, and I won't do it, but I will also show you how you can improve the videos you do on your phone over the next few months, because some people are just going to do that whether I tell them it's not a good idea or not. So there's the technology, let's move on.
Millionaire memory.
Back in the early 70s, I became known as the king of the jingles on BBC Radio Merseyside. To understand what this was about, you perhaps need to know a little about what happened to radio in the late 1960s. The BBC had their light programme, which was for popular, light, non-classical music, but hardly what we knew as pop music. The pirate radio stations afloat around the English coast were bringing real pop music radio to Britain using American-style formats and DJs with what we knew as mid-Atlantic accents. That's what we called them at the time.
Guys and gals, little ones and kittens, this is the Stu Part Show with Mike Lennox from now until 6 o'clock. We're going to have a good time. It's a rave-up afternoon.
Quite different to the plum in the mouth, and that's the polite version, the accent of Auntie BBC. The Marine Offences Act saw off most of the pirate stations, and the BBC offered some of the pirate radio DJs jobs on the newly imagined BBC Radio 1.
You're hearing things on Wonderful Radio London.
Some of the broadcasters from Big L, Radio London, and Radio Caroline South moved straight over to the BBC and helped the corporation with the specifications for the rather different DJ-operated radio studios with a bank of jingle machines unheard of by the previous BBC.
It's smooth sailing with the highly successful sound of Wonderful Radio London.
We're gonna move, yeah. We're gonna groove, yeah. We're gonna prove, yeah, that you'll hear all there is to hear. Right here on Wonderful Radio London.
In 1967, therefore, the BBC changed forever, and the old light programme, third programme and home service became Radio 2, Radio 3 and Radio 4 respectively. And at the same time they launched experimental local radio stations, which is where I came in. Local radio didn't have much of a budget to have jingles made, so I got a reputation for cutting up other people's jingles, naughty naughty, and making new ones.
Wonderful Radio London. Olé! Have you ever been?
Have you ever been?
Well, needless to say, you're okay with Wonderful Radio London.
You will hear some of this in my radio archives slot, but next month I'm going to do a special feature on the way jingles were used and the whole culture of jingles that came over from American radio.
Wonderful Radio London, biggest sound around Big L.
Well, if you're feeling down, come on and get happy. With Wonderful Radio London.
Hello, welcome to Bulgaria. This is Veliko Tarnovo, or Turnovo, depending who you talk to. And we're down by the river today, having a look around. The rest of the town is all uphill from here, and all the streets are going up and downhill. They all have some interesting old buildings, so we're going to have a look around today and have the odd drink or two.
Да съм самотен, гладен, беден и бездомен, тук при стария терген, всяка вечер е карем. Не искам аз да съм самотен, гладен, беден и бездомен, тук при стария терген, всяка вечер е карем. Я елате пиленца при батко, да ми пейте сладко, сладко.
Принеси батко, принеси батко, преди пеем сладко, сладко. Принеси батко, принеси батко, преди пеем сладко, сладко. Принеси батко, принеси батко, преди пеем сладко, сладко.
Да си мъж, този свят на шири лъж, но пък стане ли играта, качвам ги на луната. Не е лесно да си мъж, този свят на шири лъж, но пък стане ли играта, качвам ги на луната. Ja jela ti pilenca pribatko, da mi pejte slatko, slatko.
Prenesi batko, prenesi batko, meni pen slatko, slatko. Prenesi batko, prenesi batko, meni pen slatko, slatko. Prenesi batko, prenesi batko, meni pen slatko, slatko.
Oh, it's the sun. It's what? What was the temperature today? In
24 degrees.
24 degrees in Veliko Tarnovo, and I'm sure it's the same up in Oris where we've just been for the last few days. And we're going to come here again and again and again because we're retired and we just need to come here and drink this beer. Because the dark beer. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cele sutri se nabíram, povajíram, bez zespíram, nabíram, nabíram. A srdce to mi napravo spíram. Servitora, što se bavi, može biti, se ga ja pravim. Njava bira, njava bira, a srce to mi napravo spira, je šica.
Yeah, it's been very sunny here, and we were just saying this, and a waitress came along and asked us for money.
So we're just doing a runner.
Yeah. Yeah, cheers. Have fun. Come to Bulgaria soon.
And finally. And finally. And finally. And finally. Finally.
Well, thanks to the BBC News Orchestra for playing me in, weren't they good? And here we are in Bramley near Leeds. The first part of the update is about these. 10 years ago, when you did an energy performance certificate, an EPC, these were the current state of the art to have in your light sockets. Not anymore. So we're doing an EPC here for the new tenant, and these are going in the bin. And this is what I bought. From Tesco down the road, these are bayonet cap light bulbs in these horrible bubble wraps. That's a bayonet cap fitting, BC, LED bulb. The wall lights in the bedroom, that size bulb doesn't fit. You need a small LED, but it needs to have a large screw fitting. Normally they'd have a smaller screw fitting than that, so these were available in Wilko in Leeds. So I've been doing the viewings here in Bramley, I've been having the light bulb moments, and also I've been in Denton Drive, Wallasey, where we're upgrading the rooms to the new standards. We must have a minimum number of double sockets, so our electrician has been in, up with the floorboards again, extra sockets, and this time if we're putting sockets in, we put little USB charging ports on them, because that's what people want. And in Kirkdale, our electrician's been busy too. It's time for that electrical safety certificate, so he's been doing that. It's the flat where the previous tenant lost or had stolen the oven and hob, so we got a second-hand one from our own stock, and our electrician has put that in as well. This is the Kirkdale flat in Liverpool that I'm looking after for a southern investor. And finally, back home. Our neighbour's bungalow, the new owner started work a couple of months back, and he's doing everything. New electrics, new plumbing, new roof, new double glazing. He's knocking through the kitchen into the garage, he's putting up stud walls, and I asked him if he was going to flip the property because I thought that's what he would do. But no, all this expense is to turn it into a rental property, so the bungalow next door to us, it'll be rented out. That's all for this month from Brownlee Leeds. See you next month.